Yo, what's good? Today I wanted to make a commentary video on Genji, of all people. I've been seeing a lot of them going around. The takeaways from all the videos, they all say the same thing. They all say Genji isn't good, but he's kind of good, but he doesn't feel very good to play. Honestly, the best way to fix the problem is to just give him two dashes, make his primary fire do 30 damage, take away his nano blade, but make it do 300 damage per swing. And then all the people in the comments, they all say the same thing. Blizzard hates Genji. Most counterable ability in the game has a 10-second cooldown, and it's just like all of these people are. I think they're missing the point, right? Obviously, Blizzard doesn't. They don't not care about Genji. They have to care. They're not ignoring Genji. They're not mistreating him. They're giving him balance changes and nerfs because they have to. Okay, so why is Blizzard balancing Genji like this? Why does Blizzard consistently nerf Genji on repeat? And why have they nerfed Genji throughout his whole lifespan? There are two culprits, and both of them are his movement abilities, his double jump and his wall climb. Why are his double jump and his wall climb his the most problematic abilities about Genji? Is because they allow him to basically be anywhere. He can contest anyone, high ground, low ground, in the air. He can contest anyone. He can contest them anywhere, and he can do it at any time. And he can do all of this without burning a cooldown. He can do whatever he wants with no commitment. And on top of that, if he gets into a bad position, if he has access to a wall or a high ground, he can just use these abilities for free to disengage from any unfavorable fight or position. He can just get out for free. And then, if that doesn't work, he can still dash away. Wall climb and double jump separate Genji from every other character in the game besides Jetpack Cat because of the almost complete lack of movement opportunity cost. And the reason why I say Jetpack Cat is because Jetpack Cat can literally just fly. Okay, so first off, what is opportunity cost? Opportunity cost is forfeiting the next best option in favor of what you're doing at the moment. Think about a Reaper, for example. In order for a Reaper to reach high ground, he can either burn time and take the stairs, or he can burn a cooldown and teleport up to the high ground. And in doing so, he either saves his movement ability, or he uses his movement ability, and now he has to use his Wraith ability to get out. For Genji, that doesn't exist. If there's someone up on the high ground, Genji can literally just climb up the wall, do whatever he needs to do, distract them, kill them, burn cooldowns, and then he can leave, and then immediately do it again. And this is actually part of Genji's, his core character identity. The super agile cyber ninja, right? He basically has no commitment when it comes to things like positioning, taking angles, accessing the high ground, escaping a bad engagement. All of these things Genji does with very little opportunity cost, movement cost. All of these things are things that Blizzard actually cares about a lot, right? Why does Blizzard care about positioning, taking angles, getting to high ground, and escaping? Is because these are things that grant you advantages in the game before a fight would even break out. Before a whole team fight even breaks out, you can get an advantage. You can gain an advantage on somebody. You can push somebody off of high ground before a team fight even breaks out. You can take a position and hold the position before a team fight even breaks out. This is what makes Genji a strong character. This is probably the main reason Blizzard actually just completely avoids touching wall climb and double jump. And why they don't even bother trying to fix wall climb. If they broke his ability or they changed his ability in a way, one wrong move and they could completely gut the character. They could completely ruin his identity as the super agile ninja guy. How would Blizzard change Genji or nerf Genji in a way that makes him less oppressive but still feel like Genji and do it in like the least invasive way you could say. Okay, the number one way they're going to do that is they're just going to nerf his damage. They're going to nerf his shuriken damage. They're going to nerf his ability to animation cancel so that his DPS is lower. They're going to nerf his blade damage. And all of these things directly affect Genji's agency, right? What else could they do? Well, they could nerf his deflect timer, right? It doesn't matter how quickly you can retake an angle on Genji or retake a high ground angle if you don't have like a get out of jail free card. Genji can get pushed, he can take a high ground angle, try and push off the enemy Ashe off of high ground, fail, come back down, and then immediately retake it. But if he doesn't have deflect, he'll probably just die. Right? Realistically speaking, he'll probably just die. What is another way that Blizzard can indirectly affect Genji's ability to be his agency, right? His lethality. Another way they could do that is higher health pools, self-healing. Almost every character in the game has a perk that can self-heal, or just give them shield, right? Healing in general. Healing in general is kind of ridiculous in this game. I'm not gonna lie. Okay? What's another thing? Survival only focused cooldowns. Like support cooldowns that specifically only focus on saving a teammate or saving themselves. Kiri Suzu, Lifeweaver Grip. Like all these things exist to just fuck Genji over. Not specifically just Genji, but they really just, it just makes his job that much harder to do. All these things in combination, when they all come together, they make Genji unfun. And what it does is it forces him into like this cleanup crew playstyle where he has to rely on his tank to take space, and he has to rely on somebody else to do damage for him to go in and then clean up after them. Like he can no longer go in by himself and do the job all by himself. All right, what's another way that they could affect Genji's agency and his kill threat in the game? They could add new characters that either do Genji's job but better. They could add new characters that limit the amount of interactions that Genji can have with them, or just like completely avoid them altogether at all. The interaction between Genji and Jetpack Cat is completely non-existent. Unless they come to you, it is completely up to them whether or not the two characters have an interaction at all, right? Think about Vendetta. Vendetta can basically do everything that Genji does, with one exception, and that exception is that she has to burn a cooldown. She has to burn a cooldown to take any angle that Genji could. Genji can do it for free, Vendetta can't. Same with Onron. Think about Onron. Actually, Onron is probably a better example. Imagine if Genji, his primary fire, imagine if Genji's primary fire burned people. Imagine if Genji's secondary fire crit on body shots. Imagine if Genji had an invulnerability button that also did damage. Imagine if Genji had 2 dashes. Imagine if Genji, his ult was a nuclear bomb and he could also revive himself. Now imagine all of that, except he can't just take high ground for free. Imagine all of that, except Genji can't just take any position or any angle for free. That's what Onron is. It is a better Genji. It is a Genji that has less focus on 3-dimensional movement freedom and more focus on actual like kill threat and power. So these characters are stronger than Genji. They're stronger in kill pressure, they're stronger in that they do more damage, they're stronger in this and that, with the only thing being that they don't have the same movement freedom that Genji does. They can't just move around the map for free. They either have to burn a cooldown, or they have to wait for you to burn your cooldown to catch you. Okay, so how do we go about fixing the whole Genji issue? If a lot of people are going out of their way to make YouTube commentary videos about how Genji sucks and how he's unfun to play because it's extremely hard to secure kills on him, even though he can get himself into the position to do so, what is the most obvious thing that we can do to Genji to alleviate this issue? The number one thing you could do is to make changes to wall climb and double jump, but you would have to do that in a very specific way to preserve the cyborg ninja fantasy thing, right? Without removing or ruining his whole unique character identity. Because how would we do that? Number one, and these are just examples, right? These are just ideas. The goal of these changes is to make his movement and his abilities more deliberate and punishable if they're poorly executed. One change that you could make, making his double jump have a cooldown with multiple charges. Okay, imagine instead of just being able to double jump whenever, it had like, I don't know, 3 charges and like an 8-second cooldown, and every time you get an elim, you get a charge back. Okay? Or you could make his wall climb a stamina bar. Okay, and it recharges whenever you're on the ground for a period of time. Or you can keep his wall climb the same way as it is, and you could have it like have some kind of fatigue system, right? So if you use his wall climb too much, it becomes slower and it becomes shorter. And so these changes, they're not supposed to make like the first initial use of the abilities. They're not supposed to change that. They're supposed to change the consistency of Genji's movement freedom. I think that these changes would basically open the door to whatever Genji buff you could dream of. Whatever Genji buff you could possibly think of. More shuriken damage, more ammo, more reload speed, whatever. Because what you're doing is you're taking power from his movement, his ability to just move around the map for free with no risk whatsoever, and you're putting it in another location, similar or more in line with other characters. None of these other characters besides Genji and Jetpack Cat have as much movement freedom. They honestly don't. They always have to either use a cooldown, or they could just use a Jetpack Cat if they're on their team. And that's where we get the Jetpack Cat, Bastion, Abomination, and OWCS. But I digress. I think that's all I really have to say. TLDR, Genji's problem is his ability to move around the map because of the fact that wall climb and double jump have no cooldown. They have no kind of like resource usage, so he can use them effortlessly to get into advantageous positions and make advantages for himself and his team that other players or other characters either they don't have the ability to do altogether, or they have to burn their own resources to do the same thing that Genji does. And the way we fix this is by nerfing or changing his wall climb and his double jump abilities without changing his identity, right? Because if we did that, then people wouldn't play him. Like, why would I play Genji if he doesn't feel like Genji? You know what I mean? So you would have to do that in a way that preserves the cyborg ninja identity. And there's probably an infinite number of ways you could do this, but if it were a successful attempt in changing Genji in this manner, you could then reallocate that power that was taken away from his movement and then put it back into either directly into his kill pressure, like giving him more damage per shuriken, or kind of indirectly by giving him more ammo, a faster reload speed, fixing wall climb bugs, or like quality of life, buffing Dragon Blade. Like all these things would come after. All of these things would come after buffing his or changing his wall climb and his double jump. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you have anything that I missed, I would love to hear about it. Yeah, just let me know. I'd love to talk about this more. I think that a lot of people making these kinds of videos kind of just skip over this whole section entirely. Like they don't even talk about Genji's movement at all, right? And it's just like some of the videos that I've watched where the balance team they don't like Genji. They're just ignoring Genji. They hate him. And like these aren't productive conversations to have, right? To just make fun of the dev team. So please let me know if there's anything that I've missed. I would love to talk about it more. Let me know what kind of changes you have for Genji, like your ideas for Genji. Maybe we could make some kind of, I don't know, effort to the dev team. I feel like this just isn't discussed enough. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'll talk to you all later.